Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to tea. Hope you have your tea or your coffee or your I don't know, sparkling water, juice, whatever it is you like to sip on at whatever time of the day it might be for you. The reason this topic came to me, and I haven't had a lot of topics coming to me, was because of a lot of questions I get asked about. Well, like the yugas, the Kali Yuga, the periods of time that we're going through, where the state the world is in at this particular moment. Plus, a lot of questions about karma, reincarnation, past lives, and all of that kind of stuff. And while it's really interesting, and it is, there is some value in exploring those things. But it's of limited value um, because, hence the title, right now is the only thing that matters. Right now is the only place where you can go free. Right now is the only place where you can be happy. Right now is the only place where you can know uh, contentment or joy or intimacy or any of the any of the things that we want to experience in life. Plus, right now is the only place where you can have um, self-realization. Wake up. Can't wake up in the past. Can't wake up in the future. It's going to be right now. So, putting aside all of the ideas about past lives and reincarnation and even putting aside, childhood trauma and wounding and all of that stuff that goes with, emotional healing and the like. Because the only reason we have any interest in any of that is because of the discomfort, the dissatisfaction, or the downright suffering of the present moment. And we have this idea that somehow, if I dig into the past, I will find the cause of it in the present. And there's some truth in that. And when I'm working with people strictly from the point of view of energy healing, right, emotional well-being, and that sort of thing, a lot of that happens. Now, the way I do it is really different in that I don't go looking for it. I don't go looking for an originating event or some kind of past life crisis that created a soul contract or a vow. Those things come to the surface, but the only thing I ever do is I probe into what are you experiencing right this moment. Because this may be hard for us to grasp, especially if you've done a lot of personal development work and self-help and the like. But it is possible that the distress you feel in the moment has nothing to do with anything in the past. It is just this something that arose in this moment. It has no history, has no predecessor, has no future. Right? Unless what it is that arises, the distress or whatever it is that arises, we grab a hold of it, start making a story about it, and turn it into something we need to heal or transcend or fix in some way. It's that belief about it and our engagement with it on that level that actually makes it stick around. Now, since this is a live stream concerning with non-dual self-inquiry and airplanes, um, I'm going to be so bold to say, guess what? They're all like that. If you can, we can really begin to probe deeply into right now. The past is actually completely and totally gone. except that it lives in our memories. And the memory, um, the memory memories that we have color the experience we have that is in fact unique in the moment. The memory says, oh, this is the same feeling I had 2 days ago or 10 years ago. That's uh, now, the fact of the matter is, there's no way any of us can leave the present moment, take a little walk back into the past, and check out if it ever happened, or if it happened even the way we remember it. Memory is very interesting and has been shown to be completely unstable. In a court of law, now, the most unstable and unreliable evidence is eyewitness evidence, because it gets distorted. Right? It's seen through a distorted lens to begin with. And memory, there may be some little incident or some little feeling or something that pops up, and immediately our minds create an entire story around it. But that story will be based on where we are right now. So in a very real sense, we can actually begin to approach everything that comes up as if it had no history whatsoever. It is just in this moment. No story whatsoever. Right? So without a story, without going into memory, what you create is a beautiful state of detachment. When you create a story about it, like something like, oh, this is where it came from, and I've got to do these things with it in order to be free of it or be healed or whatever. You have created a very real relationship with it. And so now, without actually realizing it, what's happened is you have, excuse me, sorry, I hope that didn't blast anybody's ears. You have created a sense of identity or a person that now has a relationship with this experience, and you'll be living through that person, and it's the ideas and concepts, and it's the past, and all of it will be there. But if you can see that whole thing, the person that gets created, that creates a relationship with it, is also something that is spontaneously arisen, that does not have a past. and if that's recognized, you simply detach. You can simply sit back and watch it with no relationship whatsoever, no person, no identity. And this is what is called the pure witness. You're just seeing a movement of energy, a movement of experience, a movement of mind, an evanescent ripple on the still, limitless ocean of consciousness. And this is a path that that is genuine self-inquiry. It's self-inquiry because you are just being the pure witness. You're not creating an image or an identity of a self that's in relationship with it. The act of recognizing that, oh, I'm literally creating the relationship, which now creates the entire experience around what was in fact just an event that came, that had no past and has no future. Questioning that self, that sense of identity, is the whole nature of self-inquiry. Right? And that's why I say that only right now matters. Only right now matters. What's happening right now? There's a uncomfortable feeling that's there. Okay, good. Can you just stay detached from it? Right? Watch it, right? But not get even drawn into, oh, I'm now the watcher. Now I'm the witness of it. I'm going to witness it. I'm going to watch it really closely. I've got to be with it and allow it. No, it's there. You don't have to be with it. It's there. And simultaneously, you're aware of yourself witnessing it. So you're now aware of yourself as the witness. You're not trying to be the witness. You're not trying to think. The witness is not another identity that we get created. Okay, so now I'm the pure witness watching this. It's not that at all. You can see it's just creating another relation, another story about it. Right? So instead, it's just, oh, this is here, right? And I'm watching it. Right? Now, I didn't make that. I didn't create anything about it. It's actually, this is what's actually happening. I am watching it now. From here, you say, well, then who is this I that's just watching it, that doesn't have a story about it? I didn't create it. This event, feeling, thought, sensate, whatever it is, has come, and I was there before it came. I was there during the whole thing as it happened, and I'm still here when it's gone. Now, who's that? Right? Giving that our attention, right? And that it's not a behavior that you adopt. It's not a spiritual concept that you have. It's not some kind of non-dual teaching. It's a simple observation that whatever I am watching this. And even that the impulse that's going to come up to create a story and an identity, and I got to do something with it, while more subtle and a little bit harder to catch, is that too is just another motion. It's another pattern. It's another habit of thought that is also being just witnessed by you, who is the pure witness. I don't have to become the pure witness. I don't have to, got to be the witness now, right? You can see that's just that's just our minds trying to create yet another identity, yet another relationship. So this is the power of now, if I can quote somebody you all know, to simply disconnect what is happening in this moment from the past or the future. Any connection that it has, it's okay. Yeah, it may feel exactly like another feeling that you had, but it's not the same feeling. Right? It's a unique event in space and time, and it's going to come, and it's going to go, and it's never going to happen again. Nor is there an expectation of some time in the future when I won't have this anymore, or it's going to continue, or this is a tough habit. It's hard to get rid of that. And this has a profound impact on emotional healing as well. Now, what I'm saying right now would be a bit blasphemous to the energy healers and the like, and people who want to dig for the originating event in trauma and the like. And depending who I'm talking to or working with, I may go that route. I have the freedom to do that as needed, because what I just said is not something that's easily graspable to those whose complete orientation is around emotional healing and psychological healing and the like. But I have to assume, because you're all here, and this is a platform for non-dual self-inquiry, that well, if I was inspired to say it, you're ready to hear it. But now, just a word of caution. It's really easy to take things like this and turn it into now this, so I can't do any more of that. I can't do any more emotional healing or work on myself or anything because it's all this right now. That is also a big mistake. It's the kind of thing like you notice directly that you are the pure witness, just your pure witnessing. Right? You notice that. It's not a behavior you adapt. And so I've had people start out working with me. It was just emotional healing. They knew nothing about non-duality or anything, but little by little, it just kind of went there all by itself. Just the natural growth of the individual. I got a comment from somebody the other day on about one of my YouTubes on video, or video on YouTube. YouTube's on video. That she'd at one time been really into the law of attraction and astrology, and that she just found that over time, listening to me and doing work and the way I kind of lay it out, that it just fell away. Nothing wrong with it. I'd have to get rid of this. It just fell away very naturally through the process of spiritual growth. So, uh, please don't take this as take this now. Now I've got to make a new behavior. I've got to be more like this, because that's the same energy. That is the sense of a personal self trying to create a new person. Right? A better person, one more alignment with this particular pattern of thought, this belief system. But this isn't a belief system, and I don't want to preach any beliefs. I don't want anybody to believe anything I say. I'm going to point, you look, you see for yourself. Right? If I'm wrong, tell me. Right? No, that's not what's there. That isn't what happened. And then we can look together. But it's not about anybody dispensing knowledge. Genuine spiritual teaching is never about that. We all have enough, way more knowledge and than we could ever use. And we find that knowledge is only of temporary value, if it's of any value at all. It may just be totally false and we believe it for a while. Genuine non-duality and spirituality is not about knowledge. It's not everything you learn. It is a direct discovery of the you that was there before there was any knowledge. Just the pure knowing of your own being, which is not knowledge, is direct experience. So on that note, I'm going to go back and say hello to everyone. Take a sip of my my morning latte, because it's still morning here. And hello, Rosario. Love from Madrid. Wonderful, the theme you have chosen. May you help us to achieve it, right? Well, I'm pointing to it and the advantage of it, and how it, our now gets kind of, I could say contaminated by that which isn't now, just through memory and the like. But if we are willing to actually inquire into it and look for ourselves, we'll see that even the memory is just a thought that's appearing right now. And it's simply a thought that has another thought attached to it that says, this is what happened in the past, it's happening again. Right? But notice even that thought came after the thought that we think is a memory. Right? If that simply appeared, whatever that experience was, and there was no thought following it that says, this happened before, this is a memory, we'd have no sense of it being a memory. It'd be absolutely fresh and brand new. We wouldn't even concern ourselves with it in the same way. We wouldn't see it as something we have to dig into. Okay? So this is where I point to. I'm the pointer dog. And And look, just keep looking for yourself. Take it and check it out. And you'll notice how our minds really want to get pulled into the past or being projected into the future. How there's this incredibly strong impulse to take a position for or against whatever it is that came up. But if you just let yourself notice that that's happening and sit back and just see if you can be the detached witness. Right? I say be because to see if you can touch detached witnessing and just be there, right? And it takes some effort, it takes some practice to just be, which is weird, isn't it? Because it's not something you do. How do I do be? It's the verb to be should not be a verb. It's not a verb. It's not an action, but it's not a noun either. It's just what is. We are looking for what is, what's actually true here, what is actually happening. And as Christ beautifully put it, the truth will set you free. And that's what we all want, that experience of freedom. Unconditional love, unconditional happiness, unconditional life. All right. David, oh, so good to see you, my friend. There's Karen. Hello. Eva, Sema. Hi. Oh my God, I was thinking about this topic today. Wonderful. Good. I hope I have elucidated it a bit for you from this perspective. Mary Sykes. Hello, Mary. Got your card, Mary. Thank you very much. There's Dorte in Denmark. Golden Tiger. Roberto, back from holidays. Welcome back, my friend. Of course, your whole life is a holiday. You go one cool place after another. Your life is a holiday. Jay, Hari Om G. Hello, Hari Om Jay. And we got a person turquoise waving speech. I guess that's something that's supposed to show up as a emoji, but apparently isn't. So anyway, thank you, Golden Tiger. Kuhulika, so good to see you. Buddha Maitreya Hariom, good to see you. Good to see you too. Savvy Stacker, hello, Ali, good to see you. Namaste from Ida Catherine. Lovely smile on your picture. Hello, Ella. Ella. Hi, G. Hey, there's David and Elaine. Good to see you, Hassan. Does GP read the questions? I absolutely do. Yes, I absolutely do. And I will answer as many as I can. As many as I can. Fatima, e.g., is the past not just the present moment, observed by consciousness from many different angles? Therefore, it creates an illusion of linear life. Well, yes. I mean, the past is just is a concept, right, that we project on what in fact is just this moment. Now again, all the questions, I'm going to do my best to draw your attention back to your own experience, so this doesn't just become spiritual knowledge, right? So I'm not sitting here dispensing spiritual knowledge. I'm really not qualified to do that, nor do I want to. So when you look at it, if you look at it the way I'm describing it, right, but without any, try to keep yourself free from some kind of investment in it going one way or another. Right? So you really are absolutely neutral in the middle. I call this the place of the peacemaker. You're not taking sides. Right? And so it is just something that has appeared. And then there'll be a thought about that says, this is something from the past, right? Which of course, taken all together with memory, it creates this sense we have of there's been this neat little linear life, right? Which again is not something anybody can really substantiate. Right? But the important thing is not the the answer to the question in particular, but the quality of our looking, right? So that we see the answer, right? But we see the answer itself as a direct experience and not a concept. These days um, I just feel this really strong impulse to keep hammering on this idea because spirituality and non-duality in particular, because it is very intellectually interesting and very intellectually precise, can become very intellectual. So we can have an idea about memory creating a linear life. But the idea of that, or a concept of it, even though it's true, right? It's not really true as an experience if it remains a concept. So that we're not free. We're not free of suffering. We're not free of the experience of it as if there was the illusion, a linear life. Just knowing it's an illusion isn't enough to free us from it. It's still there, right? We have to go a little bit further to see who is it that recognizes that it's an illusion. That can't be an illusion, right? There can't be an illusion recognizing an illusion. It can't. The illusion is not a sentient thing with an entity. Only the sentience can see the illusion. And then you can dig even deeper to see, well, what is it that had an illusion in the first place? Can the infinite, unchanging self, or pure awareness, or pure consciousness, ever have an illusion? So then the idea of an illusion is itself an illusion. I hope I didn't go too far with that one. But the deeper illusion is the belief that there's somebody who could have an illusion. That creates the experience. And that's... I didn't expect to go that far in 28 minutes. Actually, because it's, we have to stay with the looking, to just see clearly that in this moment, without trying to get extrapolated out over almost that right in this moment, what I'm experiencing, right, from the point of view of this moment, without adding anything else on it, does not have a past or a future. Those are concepts and ideas that I bring to it, and now it looks like it does. I have created now a scenario, a whole story about what from my actual experience is just an event that took place that has no connection with anything at all. That the connection, it's like when you watch a movie, right, and you're really engaged in the story and everything. What you're experiencing is a set of still pictures going by you so fast that it looks as if it's a continuous stream. It also looks like this is connected in some way to this. This scene happened because this scene happened, but it didn't. It happened because that's what was in front of the camera at the time. But again, if the inquiry you make will not lead to freedom from the illusion and freedom from suffering, then it's only a concept. We are here to be free, to be happy. That's why we're here. That's the goal. To discover who we really are rather than who we have thought we are. Because who we think we are is just a thought, so it's forever changing. So it can never be stable, it can never be trustworthy. And because it is just a thought, it can't be happy. It can't be content. It's the sense of identity is constantly needing feedback and just reinforcement that there's somebody there, that which means it's inherently unstable, it's inherently unhappy, it's inherently suffering. When we identify with that, we experience suffering until we don't identify with it anymore. Because who you really are is perpetually content. It is contentment itself. It is pure love, and it's unchanging. That's the discovery. So I know I kind of went around a 12-acre field to give you that answer, but it's just really important to me that that we all look together into these things, not just to gather more spiritual concepts. There's plenty of places to get that, but that we actually make a dent in the sense of identity that is keeping us bound and unhappy. That's what it's all about. Thank you, Fatima. Fatima, thank you. True Fatima from Hassan. Hello, Hassan. Love this. Another way of putting it would be that energy hold on to through identification cannot be freely flowing, right? Yeah. Yeah, whatever you're holding on to, you're holding on to it, right? Now, if it's, if the destiny, if the life force, if the, the whole purpose of the being of that energy is to flow, which of course that's all energy does, is flow and transform. Whether you call that energy or life force or prana or chi, that's its nature, is to flow. The moment I hold it, it stops flowing. So the contentment's gone. If it's just flowing, it is what it is. It's the Tao, right? And so it will always be this perpetual transformation, right? When we identify, right, the life force of our very own life gets stuck in that identification. And we feel it. We feel the constriction. We feel that something's missing. Life isn't working. And then we think it's circumstantial or it's emotional or some problem we have to solve. And in fact, we have simply identified with something and gotten stuck there. We have basically put a whole bunch of rocks in the flow of life and wondering why it's not flowing. We're here to to see what really happened and remove the rocks. Kaz, can we do some tapping? I always find it brings me into the here and now. I don't actually do any tapping on Tea with G. I do other events. Matter of fact, I'll be doing an open house for tapping pretty soon. So in this instance, I'm going to invite you to simply let go, or you can tap if you like, while I'm talking. Doesn't have to be specifically directed, because all it does, it has an effect on the body. But consider this, Kaz. Are you ever not in the here and now? Try right now, all of us, to try to get out of the here and now. Right? Try to escape and go over to the there and then. You're always here. This is where you always actually are, here and now. So it's only a thought, a concept, an idea that says, I am not in the here and now, and I have to get there. So obviously, because you are, it's impossible to get there, isn't it? It's like me saying, can you please stand up and walk over to yourself? Or As Nisargadatta put it, having never left the house, you're asking for the way home. What needs to shift is the belief that we're not in the here and now, but our beliefs are so strong, right? They create experience. And so it feels as if I'm not. Right? And we imagine ourselves to be not, and then start through this process of trying to get there, which is of course impossible because you're already there. So it now becomes a matter of catching yourself every time you're saying, oh, I'm not in the here and now. And then also drop a very common misconception that somehow the here and now should always feel good. Right? Oh, if I was really in the now, I'd feel great. I wouldn't have all these problems. You are in the now, and this is what you're experiencing. Right now, you are here and now, and whatever you are experiencing right now, whatever sensations are in your body, whatever thoughts are going through your head, whatever emotions you're feeling, whatever sensations are hitting the body, like this picture on the screen, all of it's right here, right now. Now just notice that. Oh, I'm here right now. I can never be anywhere else. Right? My attention can go a bunch of places, but it's always reporting to me right here and right now. Now just consider that. Right? The effect of meridian tapping is to present the nervous system with a sense of safety through touch that allows it to simply reduce some of the defense posture that it's in, and therefore feel the sense of calm, the sense of relief, calmer, maybe very calm, right? And because we think the now is always going to feel good, we think, oh, that's bringing me into the now. It isn't. It's reducing. It's reducing the level of defense or stress that was in the now, and now less of it is here in the now, and we see and we recognize the difference. But you're still here. You've always been in the here and now. Recognizing that this is your true home. You never leave here. Right? Yeah. You are always here. Right? All the rest is a tourist. All the rest comes and goes. But not you. You don't come and go ever. Coming to see that is like, I am the only stable thing in my life and in the universe. Everything else is unstable. Everything else is constantly moving, which means I don't put my trust in it. I don't put my heart into it. I don't rely on it for happiness and contentment or anything like that, because it's changing. But I'm not, which means I can rely on myself for a happiness that doesn't go away, for a sense of stability, right? Because I am stable. You're not getting into the stability. You're not getting into the here and now. It's where you are. You are stable. Period. That's the truth, and always has been and always will be. It's a discovery. It's not it's a realization. It is not an achievement or something that is acquired. Right? It's a realization of what's always been. You are here and now. And I'm glad you're here now. Because I can't talk to you in the future or the past. I can only talk to you here and now. Wonderful. Thank you, Kaz. Peter. Hello to you. Peter's in Italy. Golden Tiger. It also makes sense that you can more likely create a new identity from a place devoid of identity, and that a connection with the quantum possibilities is easier from that place. Um, yes, for absolute, yeah. The fact is, yes. When you're stuck in an identity, the only possibilities available to you are the ones that would be available to that identity. Anything else is outside of it is off limits. That's why it feels so constricting. So when you go to the place of no identity whatsoever, the the entire universe now is more than a possibility, right? Because it's easy to say, oh, the place of no identity is that gives me a connection with quantum possibilities. Right? Well, who's that me? That's another identity. Now one who has connection with the quantum possibilities. I'm suggesting really no identity whatsoever. No person whatsoever. To find your true identity, which is not a person. It has no boundaries, it has no limits, and there's only one of us. That each individual you see is simply a different manifestation of the very same essence, which is not a person, which is not an identity in that sense, has no shape, has no beginning, has no end. It is completely unknowable and undetectable, except that it's you. That is who you actually are. At which point even quantum possibilities just becomes an idea, a concept, right? It would have to be just you, another manifestation of you. Yeah. How's that sound for you? Golden Tiger? Benji, nice to see you back. Well, thank you, Benji. Good to be here. Hello, Hendrik. Good to see you. Awake, not woke. Attention while doing dishes becomes boring, so attention begins to be enthralled by thoughts. P.S. I like the beer, G. Thanks. All right. So remember, this is non-dual self-inquiry, right? It's not spirituality class, and it's not energy healing. I do plenty of energy healing. Right? So I would ask this: while you're doing dishes, there is a feeling that we call boredom that arises. Right? I would ask you to look at it and say, is boredom there? And then attention begins to wander, enthralled by thoughts, wants to go somewhere else. Or is there already an energy there, right, that wants to grab onto thoughts, right? And so we'll see, this is boring, so we're going to go for thoughts because it's much more interesting. And who's watching that? Isn't all of that just this play of what is coming up in the moment, feelings and thoughts that are coming up in the moment? And the deeply inground habit we have of not wanting to be present with what is here and right now because we think this is what's making us feel bored or unhappy or discontent, when in fact that's there because we think of ourselves as a bored person doing dishes. This is very subtle stuff, folks, but it's not hard, right? As you begin to grasp that, no matter what's happening, whether I'm experiencing elation, just utter joy at doing the dishes, or total boredom, you are still there. Those things can't exist without you. There's no such thing as boredom without you to feel it, right? It's not sentient. It has no life of its own. You can't walk around and find boredom sitting somewhere waiting for you. It's a state, right, that appears and disappears very very quickly. Right? So you're always there. This is the thing to bring attention to. It's no matter what's happening, I'm here. Right? So what's more important, really? What's happening? Or the one that's always here that experiences it? See, we put so much emphasis on the experience and what's going on and why it's uncomfortable and how I can change it, that we don't pay any attention to this incredibly remarkable thing that's there all the time. Because if you weren't there, there'd be no experience whatsoever. And so while experience for everybody is constantly changing and has been, right? Since the day the sperm hit the egg, it's been this constant transformation of energy. Something has always been here. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? Right? And all non-dual self-inquiry is asking, what is that? And then go, but wait a minute, it's me. I'm the one that's been here the whole time. I'm the one that's seen it. I'm the one that's experiencing boredom. And then the boredom goes away and I'm not experiencing it anymore. And then something else is there. And then it goes away and I'm still here. This is why the question, who am I? Suddenly gets some traction, gets some legs. My God, I'm always here. There's something that's always here. And it appears as if it doesn't actually have a form. Because the forms are always coming and going. It doesn't seem to have come from any place. Like feeling into it's like it doesn't have any boundaries to it. There's no perimeter. There's no end to it. Now, this is all just observation. When you start looking at that which is having the experience rather than the experience itself. But all of our education, all of our training is to put all the weight and importance on what we are experiencing, and then want to change it and fix it and heal it or transcend it, or one of the millions of ways we have to try to adjust experience, all of which do nothing but pull the attention away from the one that is having the experience, which, having been completely unchanging the whole time, doesn't need any adjustment. It doesn't need fixing. It doesn't need changing. Right? Who wants to change what's absolutely fixed and calm and still and witnessing without attachment? Who wants to change that? Right? This is the perpetual contentment that's always there, but it's not in circumstances. And this is why this particular path is not the most popular, right? Because it doesn't have anything to do with all of the teaching, including spiritual teachings, that are about making adjustments to experience or making a better person. Right? It's great, make a better person. A lot of things can make a better person, but who are you? Right? Because that person will have to be made into an even better person, and on it goes. It never changes because the person is just a creation. It's not who you are. Who you are is the one looking at the person. And all it takes is this. It's just a moment to go, my God, I am the one that's looking. Right? And suddenly you are deep in the inquiry that leads to self. Really, that's the self, right? That we want to realize. That's it. It's right there. Hi, I'm here. Right? This is called self-realization. Right? Not like self is out there somewhere that I'm going to find it. Oh, there you are. It's self, here. Where else is the answer going to come for self-realization than from myself? It isn't. This is why the dispensing of spiritual knowledge is really a waste of time, because it's just more thoughts about you. You are the only one who can know you. And here you are. But you can't, but you're not a form. Forms are always changing. You don't have a locality because locality is relative to all form. You don't have a shape. You don't have a past. You don't have a future. You're just now. And thank you for the beard. I don't like to shave, and this is the natural consequence of it. But every now and then I'll trim it up a little bit, and then I go, okay, I'll shave it off until the next time. So thank you for the compliment on the beard. Mary Sykes, is always being neutral the way we're working towards being? Well, since today we feel, it appears as though we're really diving down the rabbit hole, I would ask this. Are you trying to be neutral? Or are you trying to recognize the neutrality that is natural when there's not an identification with a particular thing, which means I'm not taking a position about this or that. If I train myself, right, to emotionally, behaviorally, and intellectually not take a position, which you can do, right, be a mediator, right, which of course is impossible. The more personal it gets, the more impossible that becomes. I can only do that when I don't have an actual interest in the outcome. Right? But now, discovering within myself this state, this sense of being that is inherently neutral, doesn't have a position, sees the position somebody would take that would want one thing over another. Seeing that position can only come from a place that isn't in a position. Because if it is, it'll be in contrast or agreement with that other position, right? So it's a natural function, it's a natural state within us, right, that is inherently unbiased, neutral. And I can call it a peacemaker because that's the net effect of it. It doesn't walk in to any situation with a vested interest, right? It is really there to simply to try to bring out the best and most loving thing it possibly can. Otherwise, it's like showing up in negotiation and the mediator is the other guy's lawyer. It's like, wait a minute. So what I want is for you to begin to not try to cultivate better qualities. Right? You've already done that. Right? I don't think there's anybody here who's a shyster or a politician or a scammer or anything like that. You're all folks who are genuinely interested in being the highest it can possibly be, to be moral and compassionate and fair and just and all of those qualities, right? All of which are in their natural element. They all arise from this place that is that, doesn't need to acquire it, right? Doesn't need to cultivate it. It's what it is, and that it is what you really are. The real you is always neutral. Now, in the neutrality, it recognizes the various positions, sees them in context, and may even say, this position is best in this moment for this circumstance, right? But has no attachment to that. Because if the circumstance changes, this is no longer it. It's this. But you can see that's coming from a place that is inherently the peacemaker. It is inherently loving, has no self-interest. I mean, that's the nature of pure love, isn't it? It's something that's unconditional. It has no self-interest. It is not looking out for what it can get out of out of anything or anyone. It is unconditional. That's why it's so appealing. It's what our hearts crave, unconditional love, right? Isn't that, I mean, that's what we all want. The sense that I am loved and lovable unconditionally. Well, that is the natural state of your being. Yourself, your true self, who you really are, is that. That's why we like it so much, because it is the perfume of our true nature. That's why we're drawn to it. Not just because it feels good to the person, but because it feels like home. Because it is. It's what you are. How's that, Mary? Kaz says, "Thank you. I never thought of it that way." Ah, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Right. Wonderful. Thanks, Asana. Thank you so much for your answer, G. I know I sometimes ask conceptually. The idea of nonlinearity just fascinates me too. I'd love tapping on "I am free from my toxic parents." I'm. Um, I mean, one day on the tapping chat. I mean, one day, just an idea. It's great. That's great. I had to earn freedom from a very toxic parent, and yeah. So it's part of our. It's part of the process, right? And I don't want. This gets difficult as the teacher, because I don't want to shut anybody down, right? Right? I want any question that you have, conceptual or not, but it's my job to get it out of the conceptual into the experiential, so that it doesn't stay conceptual. So you ask a conceptual question, and I give you a conceptual answer, and nothing's been gained, right? Because all that will do is lead to another question, right? But if we can say, it starts conceptual, right? Because I have an interest in non-linearity, right? It just fascinates me. Great. Well, what does that actually mean? And what is non-linear, right? Non-linear, it simply means it's a confluence, right? It is a confluence. There's just an unlimited number of things that are happening simultaneously that just makes this appearance, and then we imagine it to be linear. All right. So, what is it that recognizes that this is linear, and at least there's the potential for it nonlinear, even if we can't conceive of what that is, and is that which is aware of both, either nonlinear or linear, or something beyond both that allows it to see both. And since you're the one that sees nonlinear and linear, you must be that one that's beyond it. Wow. I, who I really am beyond those concepts. I actually am. Right? Don't have to get there. I already am. I just didn't recognize it because I was, thinking that somehow the conceptual answer was going to get me there. But in fact, it just simply led me to this place where I recognize that I'm seeing both of them, which means I'm beyond both in this place that is, you cannot put it into words. How do you put into words something that is simply the opposite of everything, that is completely non-conceptual? It's beyond the conception. It's beyond the beyond. It has no shape, has no form, has no definition, has no attributes whatsoever. It's just what is. And out of it flows absolutely everything. And yet it never becomes anything that flows out of it, and it's always beyond it. And that just happens to be you. And so if you can just grasp that for a second. Well, I'm the one that sees this idea of nonlinearity. I can see both sides. I'm beyond both. Now, who's that? That's interesting now, right? Your concept has led you to something like, wait a minute, there's actually something beyond it, and that's me. Maybe I want to pay some attention to that. And then we'll tap together on the toxic parent. It may not even have to. Ah, hello, Faith. So good to see you. Hi, my sheik. Hope you're doing well. I love it. Thanks for your insights. You're welcome, Golden Tiger. Sema, that we can rely on only ourselves reminds me of Abraham's story of realizing that the sun or the star isn't God because they come and go. He realizes that the God must be something stable and permanent. Yes, and if the God is stable and permanent, right, then it can't be a form, because there is no such thing as a form stable and permanent. Every form is really just an appearance of form. It's a constant transformation of energy, constant transformation of lesser forms and lesser, and on it goes until you get down to what? Absolute emptiness. So God cannot be categorized. God cannot be known. Because the moment I know God, I have put a form on him or her or it or they. God is gender fluid. the original gender fluidity. Okay? And so we can rely on only ourselves, but make sure that that self we're relying on is not the person, because that's not reliable. Right? We have to find that within us that is unchanging, because only that's going to be reliable. We call that God, but it is actually within you, is the truth of you, but needs to be realized by you directly. And obviously, nobody can realize for you. You have to realize yourself. While everyone is that self, every individual expresses that in what is called the awakening. In fact, the self does not awaken. It does not realize itself at a point in time. If it did, then it too would be just something that came and went. The self is always realized, but we experience it as if it was unfolding in time, and there's an event that occurs, and now I'm realized. Right? But that realization is, oh, I've never not been. There's no asleep to awake from. Oops. Excuse me 1 second. I'm getting a little notice here that my battery needs a little extra battery on my device here. So 1 quick second while I hook it up. Extra batteries that I keep just for an occasion like this. I can plug in. And now we are safe to continue. This guy's still good. So very good. Put you over here. Take a sip of my coffee. So all of the stories, if we regard them for all the traditions of all religions, point to this. They all point to this. In the Bible and the Quran and the various books that are out there, there's also cultural stories. There's things in there that give definition to the particular culture. You have to sort through that which is simply cultural, the stability of a cultural, giving a culture its foundation, which is absolutely necessary if you're going to have any kind of stable society. Well, not absolutely. You can transcend it, but in the state of humanity right now, it's absolutely necessary. But also in those same writings, there are these spiritual truths. We look at some ancient writing from back then. We see the word God, and we believe that the one who wrote it 3,000 years ago had the same idea of God that we do now. Right? So I project my view of it onto that, right? Rather than trying to sort, what do they actually mean by that? Right? Did they see it the same way? Did they see this old man, white beard in the sky, angry most of the time? Or did they actually see this essence? Right? And strove to give it expression within the cultural context of the time, right? Which was very different if you go to India, where they've had Sanskrit. They've engaged and language has developed to give expression directly, like we are now, which didn't happen in other cultures, and went a completely different direction in Greek philosophy and that sort of stuff. That's enough of the history lesson. What it comes right down to is who's God other than the supreme being, that which is infinite in nature. And if infinite in nature, it is neither male nor female nor both nor a mix, nor it's just what it is. It has no boundaries, right? It's not even in it, right? And if that's the case and it's infinite, then it must be you. It must be you, right? Because infinite means infinite. Doesn't mean everywhere except here. It must be the truth of you. It must be the God that is the God's self. It has to be. Otherwise, God is not infinite, is not everywhere, does have boundaries. It has to be that way. So if he, she, it doesn't, then it must also include me. Not something I'm not. I must be that. With the belief that I'm not. And that belief that I'm not leads to lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. But even the belief that I'm not arose out of that. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to cut that off there because yeah, that's a mind blower. Anyway, Mary says, "Thank you for answering awake, not woke questions about boredom." David says, "This concept is helping me deal with the gaslighting of my experiences." Very good. Very, very good. Yes, yes. It has therapeutic effect. Not its purpose, but it has that effect. This isn't for therapy, but seeing through who you believed you were to who you really are, obviously, all of the difficulties, the problems, the trauma belong to who you think you are, which means they've never actually been you. Wow. I mean, it's like, oh, wow. Now, that doesn't mean I never have to do any of that other stuff again. It just means that other stuff has an end. Right? Self-healing, self-help, personal development, emotional healing, and the like was never meant to be a lifetime deal. It was not supposed to be perpetual. It's not a hamster wheel. It's not a treadmill. There's an end to it, and this is the end. This is that end, the discovery of who you really are, which doesn't need fixing, or growth, or self-help, or anything. It is self-realized. It is the perfection that you actually are. All right, another. Can you speak about attention and finding yourself as awareness? What is it that is aware of attention? Is it something other than awareness that would be aware of attention? And is there something other than awareness that attention would be reporting to? So aren't you that aware? Isn't it you who's aware of the attention? It has to be, because you asked me the question about it, attention, right? So you are that awareness that's aware of attention. Right? So we found you. There you are. There you are, awareness. Now, the glimpse of that brings you back home to oh, I've always been there. Right? I am that awareness. Right? But you have lifetimes of momentum and this very deep vasana, right? This very deep tendency within a human being that goes from lifetime to lifetime. It's not just this life, right? To identify as a form, to become a person. Right? It's very subtle. It's there all the time. And you can see that it's right there right now. Can you speak about attention and finding yourself as awareness? Right? That's speaking as a person who is trying to find awareness. And the whole time, the person, the speaking, the question, and the attention are all being watched by awareness. What else could be seeing them? Right? And you're the one who sees all of that, aren't you? But this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where it becomes a practice. I have to constantly bring myself back to that place as awareness, looking at attention, not as somebody trying to get to awareness. And it takes practice and time. And, and, and all we can do here is inspire ourselves enough to do it, to do that. Now, the wonderful news is, look how fast. Oh, God, I am awareness. I don't have to find, I'm it. But then the mind goes, well, no, you aren't. And you can just see the mind immediately, all the habits, because the whole habit of the mind and every mind that you've had through every single lifetime has been the assumption that I am a person. In whatever form that took, whatever experience you had in whatever lifetime, like every other dream, I am this person, right? So, and that's the dream. In this lifetime, you're waking up from that. That's why the question's even there. That's why the idea of enlightenment or self-realization got any kind of attention and interest from you whatsoever. The idea of pure awareness. If the awakening hadn't already begun, it's always been there, but begun, you would have no interest in this. I mean, I think, oh, geez, just made a mess on myself, squeezing my cup here. The name for that, right? Because the sense of a person which is unstable and constantly reproducing itself. If this one doesn't, I'll be this then. It's a shapeshifter. It never stops, right? Until we recognize the impulse towards it, right? But when we recognize that, that's grace. You identified with the person, couldn't recognize that. It's not possible. So what's recognizing it? The truth of your being, the true self, awareness as it actually is recognizing itself. This is grace. And and I can't emphasize grace enough. The only thing that brings us home is grace. It's pure grace. It's grace that reveals these things to us, right? And it's perfectly relevant and right, even in the deepest, most precise non-dual inquiry, to simply say, Lord, purge me of ego, merge me with you. Just the deep craving to be free, which sometimes we don't even know how to do it. Because just the recognition that, oh, I am the awareness, all by itself is not going to do it. Right? Something deeper has to come in and take over and begin to clear the whole field. Right? Going every lifetime. Right? And you recognize that that which is doing it, right, is not of your doing. This is kind of the ego recognizing itself as ego. Oh my God, I can't do this. It's incredibly powerful to do. And it actually makes our self-inquiry more powerful because we are now relying on truth to reveal the truth, not trying to just find the truth. We recognize that that's what's in us, calling us home. And every little insight I have is coming from there. Everything. Your destiny is to wake up. That's what this life is all about. That's why you're here. That's why you're born a human. It is your destiny to wake up to who you really are. Right? But it's not who you think you are. As Mooji beautifully put it, he said, the one that starts the inquiry does not finish the inquiry, but is finished by the inquiry. Yeah. You believe you're a person who has started on this process of self-realization. Eventually, you'll find that that person is what you wake up from, and you've never been that. Right? And that person doesn't get realized, doesn't become awake, doesn't become enlightened. It disappears, vanishes, poof, without a trace. And the only thing left, the infinite one, or the Buddha, the awakened one. That's what Buddha means. Oh, thank you, another. Glitchfield, sup, G. Oop, sorry about that. Goodness, didn't mean to put that up on the screen. Sorry. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Keep representing. Thank you. I will. Jay got pulled into a truck scale. He listens to, often listen to satsang driving his truck. Mystic poet, it brought to my attention that while I manifest something, when it is close to showing up, I start panicking and doubting, like I'm suffocating. The baby is going to go outside. Any advice? Thanks. Just notice the panicking and doubting and the suffocating, right? And the more we fight it, the stronger the relationship we have with it, the stronger it gets, right? It doesn't actually have any strength except my resistance towards it, or my fight with it, or my argument with it, right? It's just what it is. A feeling comes up. That's it. It's a feeling. And then I go, oh, that feeling, it's horrible. I don't want that feeling. And now I fight it. And all of a sudden, I'm just like fighting with something, and there's nothing there to fight with. Right? It isn't fighting. It's just a feeling that's there. It has no past and it has no future. It has no sentience. There's no self there fighting you. It has no intention. It is not trying to mess up your life in any way. It's just this. It's like a cloud going by in the sky. It has no meaning whatsoever. The rest is all us being put on it. Right? When something is close to showing up in your life, right, a big change that you've really wanted, it's going to trigger the old sense of identity that is very attached to not getting what it wants. Very simple, right? Oh, I've identified with this person, right, who doesn't get what they want, struggling to try to find a way to get what I want. So what if that person isn't actually me? I've been acting her out, right? Which means she doesn't really exist except in my imagination, except in my actions, right? And of course, if my identity is I'm the one who can't get what I want, I'm going to resist getting what I want because it's a threat to the sense of identity, right? Nothing to do with you, right? It is not really about there's something wrong with you and all this stuff is happening to you. Just notice, oh, I have been so identified with this one struggling, trying to make things happen, trying to get something to happen, that I've gotten myself caught in an identity that wants to perpetuate itself. So it's going to panic if I actually get what I want, right? Or it'll sabotage it, or it'll do something to it. But it's not you. It's a sense of identity that you have identified with. It's a person you've identified with and acted it out, and therefore believed it into experiential existence. It doesn't have a real existence, but we experience it as if it did, simply by our belief in it. So the panic, the doubting, the feeling like you're suffocating a baby is all part of the identity. Now notice, take a step back. You're aware of the doubting, you're aware of the panicking, you're aware of the suffocating, right? Now, what I want you to become aware of is the invisible thing that's there, which is the identification with it, the person. The person is not something you just see, right? It's the invisible influence that holds all the stuff together. So we see the doubt, we see the panic, we see the suffocating, and we think they're the problem. They're not. They're the characteristics of this other thing that we do not see. And I'm here to pull back the veil and show you the real mischief maker, the real thief, the real culprit, right, is the person, the sense of identity. That's where it's all coming from. Ramana described it perfectly because he called it's the I thought. That's his version of it. Muji uses the term person all the time, or personal sense. Right? Ramana put it this way. He said, like a spirit, impalpable, the I thought arises. Spirit, I mean, it's like a ghost. It's this phantom, right? Can't really grab onto it. Impalpable means it is undetectable to the mind and the senses, and yet it's there. Right? So you don't see it directly. You see the influence of it. Oh, that's the person that I've identified with. So I'm not the one struggling to manifest something or get something in my life. I'm not the one panicking. I'm not the one doubting. I'm not the one suffocating the baby. Not a beautiful image, is it? I'm not any of those. That's a sense of a person. Now, I see you, Mara. I see you. You can't hide from me anymore. How's that, Faith? Is that helpful? David and Elaine, Nisargadatta said, with the I am, the world comes into being. So the I am is both creator and witness of the world. Is it simply that the I am arises with the appearance of the physical form, and the world continues to exist whether we identify with the separate self or the conscious by which it is known? On the death of the form, does the I am disappear along with the world? The evanescent ripple subsumed by the ocean of consciousness. Okay, this is a good one, and it's another level. The sense I am, right? The pure sense I am, right, is there prior to the sense I am this or that, right? It would have to be. There's a sense of my own being, right? Then comes I am this, that, the other thing. I am male, I am female, I'm old, I'm young, I'm Irish, I'm Catholic, I'm Protestant, or any of the additional things, I am, is there all by itself. So I am, in its purity, is just I am. That's it, I am. Right? Look around, the entire universe is nothing but I am. That is, I exist, being. Everything. This cup, the stuff behind me, the animals outside, the trees. They are all I exist, aren't they? Without the I, right? The tree doesn't have an I per se, the way a human has an I. But it is the I am, and it's everywhere. Yes, the I am is the world, right? More than the creator of it, it is the world. It is the theme repeated throughout everything in the universe. It is the universe. It is the manifest universe. But the I am, even though it's absolutely pure and prior to everything else, right, it is knowable, isn't it? It is still perceivable, right? Which means it's not the ultimate. It is not witnessing the world. It's the eyes through which because the only thing that can witness is that which is the absolute consciousness. And that is the self, which is prior even to the I am. For even the I am, the sense of I am could arise, being had to be there first. Right? Then I am. Because if being wasn't there, there'd be no I am. But being could be there even without I am. It isn't. They're always there together. It is the firstborn. But you can see that the I am is, and that's why Nisargadatta, Ramana, Papaji, they all said, go back, just put the attention on the I am, because you can't put your attention on anything prior to that, because there's nothing there to put attention on. It is the absolute. It has no vibration whatsoever. It has no movement, right? But in that process, we are pulling away of the I concept, the I am this or that, which is the person, back to the pure I am, and from there, the absolute. So the I am, what we call the physical form, the I am doesn't arise with that. So it's not going to go away when the physical form dissipates, because it would have already, right? Because you're an adult man. You've been through a bunch of different bodies. The cells have all turned over. The form's been changing constantly, right? You don't look like it the way you did 10 years ago. But the I am is still there. The pure I am is still there. So it doesn't arise with the appearance of the form. It is just presence, the presence, but the form cannot arise without the I am. And it is kind of they arise simultaneously. That is form, right? But remember, it's all secondary, and the I am doesn't change. It's not, while the form does. I'm this guy. Last life, who knows what I was? I was 14 years ago. I was different. Right. So the form is constantly changing. The I am is the same. That never changes. The pure I am. This whole process of self-inquiry is to take the I thought, I am this or that, and bring it all the way back home to the absolute. You have to go through the trains. On your way home, you have to go to the train station of the I am. So it's no longer I am this or that. It is just I am. Pure I am. Which is why it's such a powerful meditation to just I am. And you find the impulse to I am this or that. No, just I am, which is just I am, I exist. The sense of being, the sense of existence, the sense of stillness, the sense of emptiness, the sense of presence. All different words for just, I am, I'm here. And our attention goes off somewhere, just pull it back. I'm here. Just be. Right? Until the quality of being itself, the qualities that are happiness and contentment and stillness and peace and quiet, begin to manifest in what used to be regarded, well, it manifests as what we call the person or the personality. Right? But now that quality of contentment or happiness, right, is not flaky. It's not unstable because it's not looking for itself in circumstances or the person. It's an emanation from that which is stable. And from there, you fall into the absolute, which is indescribable. It just, yeah, word stop. Right? And that falling into it is obviously a misnomer because you can't fall into it. Everything just disappears. So that last step is pure grace. So does that cover it for you there, David and Elaine? Jacqueline, gee, can you speak about the understanding nothing ever happens? Okay. Try to do it without getting too conceptual, because if you give that to the mind or the ego, first off, it's generally rejected as absolute nonsense. But even on that level, you can see that it's subjective, right? Some, could say two people can witness exactly the same event. And one, from their perspective, oh my God, Lord, did you see everything happen with this and this? And they'll go off and off and off. And you ask somebody else looking at it, yeah, nothing really. So it's completely subjective on that level, right? So we can't say this happened, right? She did this to me, or he said this to me, right? Or they dissed me, or you can't really say that, right? Because it's simply our subjective impression interpreting the event, and all events are neutral. So now let's take a little bit deeper look at it. Let's look at the actual nature of all events. Everything that you experience, whether it be thought, sensation, or emotion, notice there is a flow happening, right? Your thoughts don't sit still. You don't have a thought, and just sits there. How do I get? It's constantly. Same with emotions, right? They're constantly replenishing themselves, and sensations, right? Billions of bits of information a second coming in, a constant stream. Even light, right? The light you have on your room, or the light coming from the sun. When you buy a light bulb, right, you don't rent a light bulb. You rent it, you turn it on, it fills the room with light, and then you take it out and you return it. The light isn't static. It's a constant flow. You turn the light out, the bulb out, the light goes away. Because it's not a thing, right? It's a constant flow. Now, if you see absolutely everything in life as that, now it's hard for our minds because our mind wants objects. That's the way the mind works. This is an object. This is a cup. And experientially, this cup that I have here isn't going to be changing so dramatically that I'm gonna have to, cope with the fact that this is in constant change. I'm gonna have to cope with the fact that I just shook it in coffee on myself. That's another statement. My door just opened. Hold on 1 second. See, things are always changing. I don't know why it opened. Make sure I don't lose that guy. All right. I'm back, right? So, in terms of just conventional everyday stuff, things they're changing slow enough that I can count on this thing being it. But when you really look closely, which is what this is all about, at the nature of things, we find that it isn't. The shape that it's in, this particular form, is just what happens, the, the way the energy happens to be flowing. Right? And in everything living, you can see that there is a incredibly slow, so we don't realize it, but there's a constant change. Right? From the time you were a baby to the time of now, and yesterday, you are slightly different than you were, undetectable to our senses, but slightly different. Now look really, really carefully, and try to time slice that 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 transforming energy. And no matter how thin you slice it, you can't find a thing. There's no thing ever there. So it's not something that's flowing, it's just the flow. And so the thingness is an illusion. There are no things. Things do not exist. And so no thing ever actually happens, only the appearance of a thing. So you can say nothing ever really happens. Energy is flowing. But my concept of it as a thing that happened, right, is just a concept. Now, I can say, okay, nothing ever happens, and I can go off on some weird non-dual tangent on that. Oh, nothing matters, nothing, and all that. It obviously matters, right? We're looking at it at an existential level, but on a very practical level, my coffee cup is my coffee cup, and I like it, and it'll be around until it isn't. It wears itself out or breaks. It's metal, but part of it can break. There's stuff inside for the thermos and the like. Some things are more durable than others, um, uh, but they're all a flow. If you see them existentially, you won't get attached to any of them, and you won't think of it as a thing anymore. One of the essences, essential elements that allows for something like energy healing to work, or tapping or like that, is the fact that you're not a thing. You are a flow. And all of the problems come because we become a thing. We think of ourselves as a thing, get stuck as the thing, right, which is the sense of identity. And we don't experience the flow anymore. We call that that absence of the experience of the flow suffering, illness, disease, pain. That's the name we give for the energy beings, for turning the light off. It's not there. It's not there anymore. Right? So what's important here is to recognize that every time you think of yourself as the person, you have created in your mind something that doesn't actually exist in reality. And your thinking of it, believing in it, creates the sense of a stuckness that we feel as suffering. And then simply because of our training and our conditioning, our minds want to then go look for something in the external world that is causing this to happen, that I can make an adjustment, which is simply the mind believing in things, thinking it's going to change this thing, rather than the real cause, which is I've gotten stuck in thinking of myself as a thing, as something, as as unchanging person, and I'm not that. Now take it even a step further. If I'm not a thing at all, just a flow, what? Who am I? Who am I? And who's aware of the flow. That's a perceivable. I'm aware of the flow. Oh my God, I'm even beyond the flow. What the hell am I? Oh, now we're in the thick of it, aren't we? Right? Now we're into the thick of it, ain't we? Ain't we? Ain't we now? Thank you, Jacqueline. Hopefully that helps everybody. So, Golden Tiger says, essentially, you are saying that even if the identity has a closed heart and can't feel love or connected, as a witness, you can feel it anyways. What I'm saying is that the natural state of being. Why does a closed heart or can't feel love or connected feel so terrible? Why does it feel horrible? Because it's not natural to us. The natural state of the self is love, connection, open heart, purely open, pure love. That's your natural state, which is why this state feels so crappy when you're experiencing it, because intuitively you know this is not who I am. This is not, something's wrong here. We intuitively know it when we experience that suffering. So what I am saying is that you are seeing the experience of a closed heart, can't feel love and connected. That's an experience that's being happened. What's the cause of that experience? Why? What's that? Is that because there's a sense of identity of somebody for some reason has disconnected them from feeling love or connected. Right? But you want to. Otherwise, the question wouldn't come. So there's something else there that recognizes that this is off, right? But oftentimes we mistake why it's off and end up barking up the wrong tree, with various kinds of techniques and the like, and then find that they don't actually solve the problem, at least not permanently. So what I want you to do is to witness the experience of the closed heart in the presence of your knowing that what you really are is the open heart. Right? And with that open heart, you look upon the closed heart and the feeling of the disconnect and like with love. Right? And this deep desire, deep compassion to free everything from that burden. And then you might begin to see, coming to the surface, actually if you stick with it long enough, you will, all the places where we have identified with somebody who's been disconnected with a closed heart. And in the process of doing that, you may uncover all the reasons why that happened to the person, various traumas and wounds and all, experiences that made us identify with somebody who had to be closed down to protect themselves, right? That can all begin to fall away because you don't need that protection anymore. That identity that arose out of circumstances, an actual need for the body mind to protect itself against getting hurt, maybe even worse than it did, a reaction, became an identity. First, it's just the body-mind processing stuff. When it becomes an identity, that trauma, which is just part of the natural functioning, doesn't release. An identity now is there. This is who I am. But you're not that. That's not actually who you are. Right? And at that point now, as the identity with it begins to fade away, the feeling of the closed heart and not being able to feel love or connected begins to dissipate. Because it's no longer, you can see from your heart that it's no longer necessary. Right? That protective mechanism is no longer needed. And the desire to feel the open heart and love, and connected, is actually the desire to know yourself as you actually are. And not just a different state you're trying to get into with a different person, but this is your natural being that naturally seeks freedom, the freedom of self, of the expression of who it really is. uh, and recognize that if I see it as my nature, that is simply clearing away everything that's been in the way of me actually being who I really am, it's very different than being somebody who is, with a closed heart of stone, who's trying to fix it. Right? That's endless. Right? But I am that. The fact that I'm desiring this freedom is actually evidence that I'm that. The fact that this feels horrible is also evidence that I already am that. And now the more my attention goes there, the more loving and accepting I'll be of the various experiences that I'm having. And with that love and acceptance, the environment gets created where that behavior isn't needed anymore, and it fades away until it's gone forever, and until it's completely gone. I guess that's the best explanation I can come up with of the relationship, of this kind of crossover point between emotional healing and self-inquiry. Kind of this place where you see the effect of self-knowledge heals. Although that's not its intent. Its intent is self-realization, to know who I really am. Right? But it's like that's the boat you get into, because that's where you're headed. Right? In the process of getting there, that boat's going to make a wake. The wake is the emotional healing that will inevitably come from the release of the idea of being that person and the realization, even in a small degree, of who I am. You don't have to become a Buddha for this, to immediately begin to produce fruit in your life. As Muji says, this is a tree that you plant it one day, and that same day you're getting fruit. It doesn't require 20 years to mature to that. Sergey, holy blessings to all of you, sending unconditional love, sending divine love, sending agape love to you, holy family and friends. Well, Sergey, thank you. I thank God for your teaching always. Oh, bless your hearts, Sergey. Thank God for you. Wow. Holistic flow tactics. Hola, aloha, forever now. Gracias, gratitude. Mucho mahalas. Not really sure what that means. Gracias, gratitude. Mucho mahalas. Thank you. I'm not sure what mahala. I know a little Spanish, but I don't know that word. Thank you for taking your time and to and explaining this to us. Holy thanks. You're welcome. Divine grace and compassion, they fail not. They do not fail, do they, Sergey? They do not. They fail not. Absolutely. They never fall. It's what's held us together, right? If there wasn't such a thing, humanity had been wiped out a long time ago. Oh, my word. Let's see. It's like me, myself, and I and my Father, our Father. That's exactly what Jesus was pointing to. I and my Father are one. One, not two. Right? Not the Trinity now. We divide them all up, right, to try to maintain some kind of separation. That's what he was pointing at. I and my Father are one. The I. He said, I go back. He that believeth on me. Now, he's referring to the Father, the one that's one with the Father. The works that I do shall he do also, and greater works shall he do, because I go unto my Father. This is what he's talking about. This whole process. You are taking the sense of I, bringing it back to the truth of I. The sense of I being, I am this or that. I am this person. I do these things. I am this body. Which is the original one. That sense of I is now being brought back, going home to the Father, the Absolute, the truth of all. Oh, I can't pronounce that name. It looks, Ribeiro Joao. Definitely Portuguese. You're probably in Brazil. I think it is. It looks pretty definitely that. Greetings, GP. My first live stream. I'm happy to be a part of it. Welcome. I'll have to look up how to pronounce your name. And yeah, so glad to have you. Dolly said, could you please elaborate what happens when we die? Well, okay, in order to make this not conceptual, right, which is, my mission here, we need to if we want to just put it in terms of what experience am I going to have, that varies from person to person. It's expectations and ideas and beliefs and where you are in the spiritual, on your spiritual development, how far your self-inquiry has gone, will influence what the experience itself. So let's look for that which is having the experience. Right? There is a sense that you have right now of this moment, this nowness. And in this nowness, you've had just an enormous amount of experiences. You could say, right, that the adolescent you died to become the post-pubescent you, which then died to become the teenager, which died to become the young adult, which died, because each one of these was a transformation. That one's gone for good, aren't they? Right? It's kind of like everything, Shiva's wheel, the cycle of birth and death is not just this life, it's constant. Everything, cells dying and reproducing themselves in all the time, right? Millions of times a second it's going on in this body. Nothing is staying the same. We can look at specific times. I look back, I'll sometimes get, tears in my eyes thinking of my own sons as 5-year-olds and then 10-year-olds. I miss them. I miss the 5-year. I wouldn't want to keep them there, right? Because I love them now as, 48 and 50, right? And throughout the entire time, and yet you could see each one of those. That when the 5-year-old died to become the 6-year-old, this 7-year-old. I'm seeing it again with my granddaughters and my grandson. Just this constant. So you can see that there's this constant change taking place. And I think we also have a clue, is that you can have a dream at night, right? And in the dream, it's like totally real, isn't it? Right? But you're different. You can have a different body, different look, all sorts. Everything could be different of you in the dream. When that dream ends, it's gone. There's like a slight memory in it, and it fades. Right? But you're still here. There's no difference with a life. When you leave this body behind, this life, there'll be some remnant of it, but eventually it will no more be remembered than the one you had before this, and before this, before this, and before this. Now, if that really it could sink in, it's like, oh God, I'm not going to all these things that mean so much to me. Don't throw that out. Yeah, they do mean a lot to you, but everything is impermanent, and it's all going to go. And the whole point is to find that which is permanent. And when you find that, you find everything else. And now, while you experience the coming and going, you also experience the sense of not coming and going. Right? That the things you love are still here. But the form they're taking is different. Right? And so death becomes a non-event. It becomes this the experience of yet another dream has ended and I'm still here. Now, what I am really emphasizing here is that I'm still here, which will be obvious, you died. Oh, I'm still here, but I'm in this moment. I'm formless. Right? But things are still happening, and something will happen that will then that sense of needing to become, to be somebody, that sense of becoming will arise, that vasana, and make a new life, or it won't, and you'll be free forever. But notice you can do that right now. You don't have to wait. Die before you die, as, as, as they say. You don't need to wait till that happens. You can see that it's happening right now. Oh, there's something right here, right now, that is experiencing all this change, the change we call life, that isn't changing. And the only difference will be that same thing will be there, right? When I have the experience called death, right? But I will still be there. Who am I that is always here? That's what this whole thing is about. That's what I keep. That's what I keep emphasizing. Right? It's you. You're it. That's where the freedom lies. And now you are freed from the cycle of birth and death. What the actual experience is, because there's still going to be experience, right? But it will simply be you, the absolute, and whatever the experience of something, the experience of nothing. Well, find that which doesn't change. Right? Be that. Find that you are that which doesn't change. And then the rest will simply be an ever-changing experience that is like any future. I can't predict what the actual experience is going to be like, other than there will be a sense that there will be, for a moment, a clear sense that I am. The bodies are gone, which means all the suffering is gone. All the thoughts are going to be a clear sense of I am. And at this point, the only thing left will be whatever energies that are called the vasanas that are there, right? That appear in and actually create the environment that makes for another life with which you identify. That essence, right? That impalpable essence, the sense of a person, is not a product just of today, of this moment, of conditioning and trauma and all that. It is that which goes from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. That's what we're digging up here. That's that sense of wanting to be the person. As you go more and more into that which is not changing, there's less and less of that. You are actually digging up the essence of the wheel of Shiva's wheel of birth and death. That's how deeply this goes. I invite you all here. Ah, the name I can't pronounce. Wow. Sorry, man. As a human, understanding that fundamentally I am awareness, what do you think about changing my self-image for specific goals? Well, first off, right, of course you can. You're free to do whatever you want, right? Changing the self-image and that. We do it all the time. Doing it consciously is is fine. Probably better than doing it unconsciously, which we have to do. But who do the specific goals belong to? Does awareness have a goal? Does that which is, absolutely is, pure, as it is, have a goal? So all goals belong to a person, and the one who wants to change the image for a specific goal, right? Who's that? Is that who you really are? Is that pure awareness? Or is that something appearing to the awareness? Right? Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it or you shouldn't do it, right? But if you get caught there, you're going to miss the real opportunity, which is to find the awareness which has no goals. There's no future. There's no time there. Goals are a manifestation, and they're fine as long as we don't mistake them for a reality, and as long as we don't get so attached to them that we suffer until we get them, or suffer when we don't get them, right? Because that's the consequence of that. You do not have, as the awareness, specific goals. So now, when a goal arises, you are not meeting it as somebody who has to get the goal. You are, I kicked another thing here. You are, put the camera back. Yeah, that's right. Sorry about that. My clumsy cameraman here, which is me. You are simply witnessing something that is happening, and it can happen or not happen. Right? So even the term goals begins to get softer, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just something that pops up. Yeah. Goals are happening; they're part of life. I have goals. Everybody has goals. Right? Now, do I depend on those goals? Right? Am I going to be unhappy if I don't get them? Now there's more to it than that, right? There's all sorts of things that are happening in life, but awareness is free of goals. It's just really free, right? Free means no attachment whatsoever. It's like the question that was asked to the saint, right? What do you want? What is it you want? His response was, whatever God gives me. Whatever life brings. That's it. So the best goal to have, you're going to have goals, right? Is to go free, to know who you are. Because it is a goal, in a sense, because it's effort. Right? When you have a goal, I want to do this or make this happen, right? There's focus there, isn't there? Things that distract from that, take the time or effort or money away from that. You go, no, I'm not doing that because I'm focused here. So make self-awareness, self-realization, really knowing yourself as awareness, not a concept of awareness, right? That gives you a certain sense of human freeing, but knowing I am the awareness, and all life is appearing to me as awareness, including goals. Make that your highest human goal. That would be my recommendation. Right? Make that complete and total freedom my ultimate goal. Actually, if you look at it closely, all the human goals we have really boil down to the same thing. I want to be happy, I want to be peaceful, and I want to be free. Thank you. Yeah. I tried to learn a little bit of Portuguese. I think I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And that was a strange, that was a hard one. I couldn't quite get the hang of it. Sisvi, there's no one to do anything, nowhere to get to, just the experience of the journey to yourself. Yeah, but don't make that a concept, please. Because if you do, you kind of go into, what happens is it becomes very intellectual. It becomes, they call it neo-advaita, right? Which is just a lot of non-dual terms. Because don't forget, the sense of a person, the ego, can appropriate non-dual language in support of itself as a person now who is with non-dual understanding. Right? And that's that's why you need to mix this path up with the path of devotion, which is, man, I may have this completely wrong. So it's true that there's no one to do anything, but make sure that your understanding that there's no one to do anything is not just an echo of the truth, but is actually, it's not that there's no one to do it. It is that there's no person to do it. In a sense, you could say that everything that's being done is being done by God, by the self. And I'm witnessing it. It's a better position than just there's no one here to do it. Because that position can now begin to see that it is just happening, right? And it's not an act of somebody doing it, but the one who appears to be doing it is just part of the doing. Okay? Hope I'm making that clear. This is really important. I always have to warn about this, because when you get into the neo-advaita, the intellectual approach to non-duality, it's one of the most seductive places to get stuck, and it is filled with arrogance and pride. And what Papaji said so brilliantly is, the truth cannot come to an arrogant mind. I've had my share, so I know it's true. One body is the day, and all in it us. It's easier than hard can be. Easier than hard. I like that. And Jay saying hello to. I can't. Why my soul and spirit always bear with your teachings and understand them. This is Sergey. Yeah. Well, there's a resonance, right? It's it's the love and the truth in you that recognizes love and truth when you hear it, right? And I don't claim to arrived at Buddhahood, but I claim to have that as my ideal. And I want that to be displayed through this body and mind. Yeah. So, if anything I say or any teacher says, they go, I'm not sure about it, or it has kind of that bad taste of ego. Say, right? It's always up to you, right? I don't care how much authority or popularity or highly recommended a teacher is. It's always up to you. The long dope day. Seed is in the forest. You're adorable. Cannot see you. Can't not see you. Oh, thank you. Your chest wears shirts. You're doing every here and there. That was so easy. Dope job, brother. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Damien. Dope job. Like it. Thank you, Ava. Oh, how is from the self-inquiry support group, and a bunch of us students gave some confusing answers. Well, I'm very, very glad to hear that. Oh, that's from Sunny's group. I love Sunny. Just wonderful. Yeah, very authentic from the heart. Yeah. So, Mary Sykes, beautiful side. Thank you. Love what you said about goals. Golden Tiger, same to you. Best man there is. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for your response. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope it was, I hope it really got in there, right? Remember, self-inquiry is about liberation. It's about liberating. First, we liberate our sense of self from thinking that we are this person. And that eventually means even thinking this person that needs to self-inquire. Even the self-inquiry is temporary. It's something that's gone. I've got to inquire. Like somebody's going to inquire and get to the truth. The one who's doing the inquiry vanishes when the inquiry completes. When the inquiry completes itself. And so, as that begins to happen, you see more and more that I'm not that. It's a new vista that begins to open up, right? And this one can't get stuck in the intellectual version of it. It just can't. There's too much heart there. There's too much humility, right? There's too much recognition that Jesus, even the best ideas I had were given to me. The best insights I had were given to me by grace. You know, the progress I made was a gift from grace. That the seeing that eventually led to my liberation was a gift from grace. And it liberates the sense of self from the person. Then it liberates the human experience to be fully whatever this life can be. So, anyway, on that note, oh man of God, I knew you're divine. That's why when compliment come, you put your hand like a priest because you're humble. So I don't do it to you. So much blessings. So I don't do it to you too. Much blessings. Thank God for you. Oh, thank God for you. Thank God for us all. Thank God. You know, sometimes it's so overwhelming. All you can just do is go, thank you. Thank you. When you realize, my God, I didn't. What a gift that this life has come to me. That this has come to me in this life. That we live in a time where this is actually available. And I met a genuine, enlightened being in this life. Come on. It's like, obviously, in my delusion, I couldn't possibly have made that happen. I would have just perpetuated. Something said, something came that was outside of who I thought I was, but in fact was right at the center of who I really was. It was me calling me back to me. As Ramana so beautifully put it, as he always did, the I removes the I and yet remains the I. That kind of said it. You deserve it. It's your blessing to us. Thank you, Sergey. Thank you, everybody. Such an honor and a pleasure and a wonder and bafflingly beautiful. So, thanks all. I'll see you next time. A week from now, I'll be at it again. So I'll be here if you want to join me for tea, coffee, whatever your preferred beverage is. Until then, all my love to you. Namaste.